going on YouTube? Hope all's well. This is Kai Louie here. I have another vlog tonight, of course. I think I've been going back on my word. I said I was only going to do one once a week, but I keep coming up with things to talk about. Last night was something that needed to be recorded because I've been talking about pretty much in every video that I've posted on how to be upright in your faith, to be, to keep your head up, to keep going, to never giving up when you feel there's so much going on that's bringing you down. Well, today is going to be a little bit more upbeat, hopefully. I'm going to talk, I've been talking about how I made the move out here and the transitioning and everything, but I haven't talked much about my actually driving, actually driving to here, because it was an adventure and it was fun. And I'm sure a lot of you have gone on your own adventures. I'm sure a lot of you have driven to other states and stuff like that. But mine's a little bit different because um, uh, I got my driver's license last year. I got it right around February, a little mid February, little after my birthday. So it was a good birthday. And I got my car shortly after. Um, should have waited, but anyways, I wanted to uh moving to California and all that. I wanted to have the chance of driving and experiencing the world in that way. And what's sad is for the longest time, Melissa and I talked about her coming out, flying out, and driving back with me, but that didn't happen. I was in talks with her dad to come out and fly out and drive back with me because it'd be good bonding, a good bonding experience and hanging out and getting to know each other a little bit better. And um, he wanted the idea of getting away from the girls a little bit because there's a lot of kids here, and he wanted to have the chance to get away, and but didn't due to health reasons. So understandable. So I actually when I left, it was the end of April in Minnesota. It was actually fairly good weather. Usually snow goes up until May, depending on when the snow starts. And luckily, it was just raining when I left. Um, it was rainy weather. Kind of a little bit cooler, but not snow on the ground. So that was nice. But anyways, I had my mom came with me, which was awesome. And mind you, this is what I'd say 6 to 9 months since my dad's passed. Um, and it was sad to leave my mom, um, because I mentioned that it was my first time um, leaving moving in general. I've been in my house most of my life. I was trying to support my mom as much as I could. When my dad passed, it was really hard for all of us. And after my dad passed, I was more focused on taking care of my mom rather than taking care of myself. So when the time come when the time came to move, it was sad, really sad. Um, because I'm from Oregon. I was born in Portland, Oregon, lived in Vancouver, Oregon for a while, and then moved to Minnesota in '92. So fairly good majority part of my life, I was in Minnesota, and you know, it was just it was sucky because you know um, a lot of built up dreams were coming true. Finally realizing that moving to being with someone who I truly care about um, was scary for me. I know it was scary for her, but it was really scary for me because again, I was giving up everything that I knew. Um, and leaving my family, and still kind of having everything upright. But Melissa's very important to me, and when she gave me that shot, when her and I finally said, we want to make this happen. Let's do this. One of us is gonna have to move, and I told her not to come to Minnesota because I was planning on leaving anyways. My mom was in the um, planning to move to Colorado, which she has done, but she was still in Minnesota when I moved. Um, so there was a lot of hesitation at times. I just I wanted to make sure everything was right, and Melissa was ready for it because it was a big step for her too. And so, like I said, when the time came, my mom said, "You know what? I'll drive with you. Um, we'll stop in Colorado. I'll hang with Kelsey for a little bit, and I'll fly back home." And so she drove halfway with me, and so that's where these stories are gonna come. That's why I wanted to share these videos because some of the occurrences were actually pretty funny, and some pretty scary too. And so I don't know how many parts this vlog will be to. Probably two, hopefully two. Um, but I'll try to get as much as I can done in this one. Anyways, there's there's th- mind you, again, this was right after I got my license. This was I was probably driving maybe a month and a half after I got my license, got my car. I was getting well adjusted with the streets of Minnesota and stuff. And then, it was time to move. And I drove most of the way in general. My mom didn't really drive because she was still heartbroken over losing dad, and a year prior to that, she was in a car accident, so she was very hesitant on driving in general too, in that front. And so, but it was just nice to have someone for the first half. And so, I was contemplating on areas to check out, maybe visit, take some time and, um, you know, do a little short vacation before I started my new life. And so there was two routes that I could have gone, but I wanted to get here as fast as I could. You know what I mean? Um, I could have gone um, all the way to Colorado, like I was planning. So I went from Minnesota through Iowa to Nebraska, from Nebraska to Colorado, and then I was contemplating on going from Colorado to Albuquerque or through Albuquerque all the way up that way, but that would have been 19 hours. If I was to do it all in one drive. Sorry for the confusion. I separated the traveling within 2 days. I first drove half the day to Colorado, stopped, visited with my sister, stayed there for a day or two, and then I left on a Friday morning. Um, and so when I I contemplating on going through Albuquerque, but I didn't want to go too long. You know what I mean? 19 hours, and so I went 14 hours. I went through Utah, um, or I went through the other bitter end of Estes Park in Colorado, which is on the other side of the Rocky Mountains. Very steep, very slippery. I'll get in more on that in another video too. Um, and then I went through Utah, which was a long stretch. I'll get more into that. I went through Arizona, or no, not Arizona, Nevada. No, okay, sorry. Yes, I did go through Arizona, then Nevada, then California. So it was shorter, um, in distance and in timing, but it was still a long drive for someone for being a first time driver, or not a first time driver, a fairly new driver, and not knowing so much on streets and stuff like that, and you know speed limits throughout the U.S. and all that stuff. So I got advice from my uncle, who would travel back and visit us in Minnesota, so he would drive back and forth. Um, so I'd get advice from him on where to go, where to stop, all that stuff. But anyways, so to rewind a little bit, this is where the fun begins. All right. So I don't have much time, so I probably will have to do more than one video. Um, pre warning right now. Anyways, so like I said, I drove with my mom. I drove with my mom halfway the first night. It was a Wednesday that we left. Um, we went through Iowa, which was nice. I mean, we've traveled through there prior before that, and fairly good weather there. I mean, a little cloudy, not too crazy. And then went through Nebraska, and this was my first time experiencing Nebraska. Um, it started. Me and my mom had to stop for gas, so we did that. We stopped to get a little lunch, and on the way out, it started raining. But it was odd. Um, it wasn't your typical rain. Those of you who are watching this video, if you live in Nebraska, maybe you know what I'm talking about. Maybe you leave the comments below and let me know what this was. But um, no one else was driving near me. This was open streets now. I was back on the road, um, making my way to Colorado now. Anyways, it started raining, but it wasn't raining normally. It was raining this like yellowy mucus like color uh muck. I guess that's the best word to describe it. And it rained for maybe 2-3 minutes, but it was just odd because I'm like, what is that on my windshield? Like did someone just spit at me, or did I hit an animal, or the hell? Like it was so confusing. And I asked my mom, I'm like, what is that? I've never seen that before. It started raining from the clouds, and it was just like this orange mucky stuff. I couldn't believe it. And my mom had no explanation for it either, because it was the first time she experienced it. And so we were just kind of joking. We were like, maybe the old man upstairs woke up and took a piss. I don't know what's going on. Maybe he just got pissed on by the old man upstairs. I don't know. Um, it was weird, and it was only for like 3 minutes. Thank God for that, because then it turned into regular rain, and it was able to wash off after that. A little bit of a storm there. Um, and then made our way to Colorado. Not too bad. Um, but driving out from Colorado 2 days later was this was my official move. This was the day that I moved from my mom, separated from her, and separated from my sister and my brother-in-law and all that. And it was scary, guys. It was scary because I left at 5 a.m. 5:30 a.m. Sorry, because there was storming. It was blizzardy that day, and I wanted to kind of get through it as fast as I could. And mind you, I have a Buick Century, and if you're in Colorado, they recommend you to get chains on your wheels or spikes on your wheels or whatever, or both. But I didn't. I bought the car a month and a half prior to moving, and I was just getting used to what was going on, and so I literally went on this mountain and treaded with the wheels that came with my car. All right, guys, I'm gonna have to continue this in the next video. All right, Kai Louie will be back. Thank you.